Hey guys, this is for an old friend named Dan. Whoa, man, that's a good track right there. Man, Mark Knopfler, you got it. I mean, what can you say? Can't say nothing bad, obviously. Wow, I can remember like playing in bands in the 80s and stuff, and everybody was playing like Welcome to the Jungle and Sweet Child and all, Def Leppard and a lot of Pink Floyd guys. And the bands I played in, we played like ZZ Top and Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, Dire Straits. That first Dire Straits record really affected my guitar playing. There's no question. Especially playing with my fingers and stuff and getting that, that's them little rakes and that snap with your finger. He didn't play with a pick, but he did a lot of these little nuanced things that nobody was really catching on records at the time. And we were playing like, I was really young, like maybe 16, 17, learning like Down to the Waterline, Six Blade Knife, Wild West End, Lions, which I just played. Isn't it cool? Can you guys, I know most of you guys that watch my channel are older, probably older than me. Isn't it cool? Wasn't it cool, like, back in the day, when you got a record or a cassette or an 8-track, you knew the pecking order of the songs. Right down the line, you knew what the last song on the record was, the first song, all the songs on one side or the other. It's weird now. It's like there's no more sides, or there's no more lineup of music. I could, like the Zeppelin records, I could recite those front to back. I could, the flip side in reverse order to the either way you wanted it. That's just kind of how we knew it, I guess. Today is really bizarre how that all is, I guess. I don't know. I think there was something to it, like muscle memory or something, learning the the order of the tracks. I can remember listening to Robert Palmer Sneakin' Sally, that record, which is all segued the whole album, at least both sides, which was it was amazing. I mean, to listen to as a whole, work. We don't do that anymore. It's all just, you know, 2 minute shorts and that kind of thing. I think people need to listen to whole records, front to back to front. There's some value there, really, guys. It gives you a taste of what the artist is trying to say as a whole, and you also get a sound, because as a collective recording on a record, there's something valuable there. I really think there is. You have to listen to the whole record to hear the sound that they were trying to emulate, because one song's not going to really do it. When you hear the whole record the way it was meant to be heard, then you'll get it, and you'll understand the tone and sound they were going for. You'll hear if it was mostly done with Stratocasters, Telecasters. At least that's the way it used to be when I grew up. I never took any guitar lessons. I learned everything by ear. I mean, I learned a few chords from, here and there, but mostly I'm self-taught. I can't read a note of music. I can barely read tablature. It's all just what I heard, back in the day when I heard the Rain song. I didn't know it was open tuning. I played it in 440. It took me probably a couple weeks to in these chords. I mean, I didn't know. The first time I heard that played in the correct tuning, my son was playing it in his bedroom. And I was like, wow, that sounds like right. And the way I've been doing it, it's not right. And it dawned on me. I mean, I learned a lot of songs by ear, every song by ear, actually. But when I heard that, I was like, whoa. And I went into his room. I was like, what? And he told me it was open tuning. I was blown away. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know that. I think Dancing Days was like that too, maybe. Not sure. I just honestly, when I learned that by ear, like I said, I thought open tuning was just for like playing slide guitar. I didn't realize that people were writing, melodies and chord progressions with open tunings. I really didn't. I was just uneducated. I was probably 13, 14 when I figured that out. And, it's not like Blackbird. I didn't, It took me a week to learn that whole tune. I don't know if I actually play it exactly right. I think I do. Man, though, I'll tell you, the ear training value of that was humongous. Because, back in the day, I couldn't afford guitar magazines or lessons or any of that stuff. So everything I learned was what I heard, and I became a sponge. And my mother had perfect pitch. I think mine is very close. I don't think mine's perfect, but I've tuned a guitar by ear and then checked it against a tuner, and I wasn't a a half step. I was in between a half step and right, so a few cents away. But I've not really practiced that, but I've checked myself over the years to see what my pitch was like. My mother could sing a C note, and you could put a tuner up there and it'd be green. I'm not even kidding you. So I think I did inherit some of that, but I've always been able to hear music. I don't know how it works for everyone else, but I hear it a certain way, and I got to the point even before I started playing guitar, just watching people play guitar, even the most basic forms, I could imagine the chords as I heard them in pitch, if that makes sense. It may not to you, but it's probably tough for me to describe this, but I've never really had a problem discerning pitch or keys, or I never even thought about it. I knew what the difference between a major and minor, major seventh. I could hear all that before I even started playing guitar, just from being around it and seeing it, when I was really young. So that's how I learned. I just really didn't see the need to read music unless I was gonna, go to school or try to teach kids how to read, as a music teacher. In my application, playing with guys that didn't read music, it was useless, because there was no way to convey it to those guys, that couldn't read either. So it was a lot of, it goes like this, we did stuff like that. Honestly, I don't even know how we counted songs. Really, none of us knew anything about meter or timing or anything, but we knew like 200 songs front to back. We played them very well. It was a wink and a nod a lot of times. I don't know. Can't even describe how we pulled it off, but we did. Flawless most every night. So anyway, this guitar, I wanted to bust this one out. It was my first electric. It was an early Squier. I wore the frets off the other neck. Here's the original neck. I just refretted this maybe a month or so ago, maybe more than that, maybe 2 months, but this was a Chandler All-Packs neck from the 80s, and I had this on a telly at one point. It's been swapped around on different guitars, but this is where it landed. This thing's been upgraded to all Fender parts from the 90s. I changed stuff out as I could afford it, It's got the 2-point trem system. It's got the Fender neck plate, Fender tuners, all period, like late 80s, 90s. I haven't changed really anything. These are the original pickups. Maybe I might have changed a pot or two, but there was one thing I haven't looked at in years, but it had an awful hum to it. It developed this really bad hum. And this was when I was a kid. Me and my dad tore it apart, and he took a piece of wire and stripped both ends and just started like grounding from one pot to the other and doing things like that. And I can't remember what we did, but it went away, and we soldered it in, and I don't know, it almost doubled the power of the pickups in this guitar. And I need to tear it apart and see what we did. I haven't torn this apart in, God, 30 years probably, more than that. So anyway, this is my first electric guitar. Still got it, still play it. it's a legend. This has been to every single gig I've ever been to in my life. No matter what else I brought for guitars, I always brought this one because it's just a turnkey. I remember one night at a gig, a friend of mine was playing guitar in the band I was in, snapped a string on his guitar, and he was like looking around, and this was in the case. The case was open. We'd leave it open, and he snapped his chord in, and boom, right in tune, 100%. It was just a matter of a couple bars, and he was on point again. So we still laugh about that to this day. And my friend Dan, who I gave a shout out to in the beginning of the video, he has a black and white one just like this, and his is a Japanese made squier with the F stamped lock-in system. It's got a lock-in nut and the fine tuners. I think his was always better. It always sounded better, and the Japanese ones are worth more. I think his is 83, 84-ish, and I think those are the ones they modeled after a 62 or 63 Strat Fender. They spec'd them. Look that up. Anyway, I started modifying mine because his sounded better and played better, but at the end of the day, we both still have them, and that's a cool thing. I'll have to get a picture of both of us, 40 some years later with these things still. It's pretty cool. Alright guys, thanks for checking it out. Rock on.